we talked about the cost of a bad hire.
Is the most expensive mistake a company can make. It is. And so making sure that you are thoughtful and deliberate about the process is very important.
Audio Jungle.
Hello and welcome to Business Focus, produced by the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce. My name is Angela Inzerillo with Impact Business Solutions, and I'm privileged to be your host as we highlight the great work our local businesses are doing. Well, welcome. Happy summer. We are super excited to be in the throes of this heat wave everywhere around the world. And we're excited to start the new fiscal year for the Chamber. So much is happening at the Chambers. Certainly check out our website. We've got great events coming up. No slowing down for us. So let's get you involved. Let's get you networking. Let's get you started. I am super excited for today's guests. We just recently had our Awards for Chamber Excellence, our ACE Awards that we host. And it's our annual meeting for our membership. And we have one of our nominations for New Member of the Year. So why don't we please welcome Ms. Kathe Yamagata with Purple Squirrel. Kathe, welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today.
I'm super excited to share what you're doing in the world of HR, in the world of recruiting, but we are having a whole conversation today about workforce and AI.
Yes. Humans and AI. Here we go.
It is impacting our world in
It
every
is.
aspect, but with recruiting and hiring and saving money and the human impact, all right, a lot to talk about. So,
Right. Where do we start?
you've had your whole career has been in HR. It's been in recruiting, and we can talk
Right.
about the differences in that too. But how did you get to Purple Squirrel? We have to tell people what Purple Squirrel really means too.
Yes. It's a great conversation starter in any room, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I never meant to be a business owner, but one day we had sold a company and so I decided to start a company and what do you
Sure.
name it?
I
So
could do this.
I could do this. And so on a whim, I thought, okay, purple squirrel. And what a purple squirrel is in the recruiting world is that hard to find elusive candidate. So there are lots of brown squirrels, there's lots of gray squirrels. And so some people used to say or still say unicorn, but unicorns do not exist. But purple squirrels do.
They
They do. They live in India. They eat a certain berry. They're quite beautiful. You can look them up. And so we like to think that candidates, they want to be that purple squirrel, that
Sure.
rare thing. Now, we also use it with clients when they're describing who they want to hire. I might say, that might be a purple squirrel with pink polka dots on his tail, which won't exist, right? So maybe we should change that a little, but it is a way to help people find a way to be special. And
Yeah.
so that's why purple squirrel.
Well, I absolutely love it. Yeah, you joined the chamber last year and you got
Yes.
super involved. You've been on a couple of panels showing your expertise. So let's get right into it and talk about the world of HR and talk about the world of hiring. I guess for most folks that are watching in the business ownership world or CEO or C-level world, what's the biggest misconception about hiring?
I think the biggest misconception probably is that AI will replace humans right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that's true. Human resources, humans, right? And humans got us this far in the world. But I think that it's an interesting time. One of the things I thought about the other day is that we've always been at the top of the food chain as
Mhm.
humans, and now all of a sudden maybe we're not with AI, right? It's a challenge because we're not just dealing with a changing technology, we're dealing
Right.
now with replacement of intelligence. And so it will compound and potentially get smarter than humans. And so that is frightening in a lot of areas, but it doesn't have to be. And so I think that employers need to embrace AI. They need to continue to evolve their hiring processes and not just say, oh, I can't find good people. They need to be delicate and diligent and make sure that they're going about it. I equate everything to relationships, right? If you were going about finding a mate or a spouse, you wouldn't just willy-nilly. You would have a considerate process about it, right? You'd have criteria.
Yeah.
And so I feel the same way about hiring. And so I think that employers are so desperate sometimes because I need this person, I want this person. But if they just take a step back and really make sure that they do it in the right way, and now incorporate AI into the process, it still can be a magical thing.
Well, we talked about the cost of a bad hire.
Is the most expensive mistake a company can make. It is. And so making sure that you are thoughtful and deliberate about the process is very important. So it starts with the job description and the profile and the agreement among the team members, right? Which is sometimes a difficult process to get through. And then who's going to be involved? Who's going to ask what questions? What type of questions are we going to ask? The level of sophistication. People are forced into interviews and they've never interviewed. Some people are forced into management and they've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
managed, right? And so we owe it to them to train them on how to do that properly. Some people have interviewed as a person and they've never done it before. And so it's we just experiment all along the way. And so I think that organizations need to use the psychology behind and think about, I'm dealing with a human. I need to understand them as a person, bring out the best in them as I interview, as I hire, and as I manage them. And if you do that, then I think then it can be a positive experience.
So you talk about all these elements, and that's hard for any organization to do unless they have a department to do it. So what truly separates the organizations that do it right to those that I don't wanna say they're winging it, but they're just not planning for it. They're reacting to it.
It's a great question. So, in our experience, we have brought 14 companies from zero to positive exit, and we've done that on a fractional basis. And what founders and leaders are focused on are products, revenue, and making sure their
Yeah.
customers are happy. And the other things become, I'll get to that, or they don't do it as well. But if they work, and they can't hire an army of people, right, to do that and do it well. They can't
Absolutely.
hire an army of HR or talent acquisition people. And so we provide services like that on a fractional basis so that it is more affordable. And we work with them for the long term, and we're able to provide our subject matter expertise to help them so that they can hire good people, retain them, develop them, and help them be compliant so that when they go for round day or they go for exit, they have been able to focus on it and they haven't broken the bank along the way. So I like for companies to be more open to that fractional. And I've learned that fractional isn't actually a widely used term. And that was a surprise to me. No matter the size of your organization, fractional has value because you might just have a hiring sprint or you might just have a project. And so again, you don't necessarily need to hire an army of people as your company ebbs and flows. We helped one company go from 60 employees to 800 across 23 countries. And they would never have been able to afford doing that if
Right,
they had
right.
paid contingency fees or if they had had the internal people. But because we were able to help them ebb and flow, they never had to hire 10, 15 people to support that. We were able to provide those people periodically. Sometimes they had larger hiring sprints than others. And so there's value to all of that. So I think that will help companies and differentiate them and help them be more successful if they're open to that fractional concept.
Oh, and like, we could talk about that for a second. That's huge. One, it's a lower cost because now there's also benefits you're not paying for and all of the taxes that are associated, which is an extremely higher number when it comes to what you're really paying somebody. And then so you get the expertise. You don't have to, get them up to speed on that particular area. We've seen
Correct.
fractional spaces in the finance, marketing, sales, strategy. We even do strategy for several companies. That's what we're
Correct.
brought in to do. And that's all we're focused on doing. We can do it smarter. We can do it cheaper. We can do it faster. So yeah, I love the fractional model. And I think that works so well for many
Right.
different.
If someone wants to hire someone at 60K, it's actually going to be more like 83K
Absolutely.
when you take in all the taxes and benefits and all PTO and all of those things.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use a company on a 1099 basis, on a
Yeah.
fractional basis, it will be a lot less expensive to do that. The other benefit to that is that we work with many different companies. And so we've probably been there, done that, and we're able to
Absolutely.
provide that advisory. Whereas if you have internal people, they're just working within that one system, that one area, and they just don't have the depth and breadth. Whereas a team like ours has seen hundreds of different scenarios, and we're able to say, yep, we've seen that, and here's the advice that we're able to give. So drawing upon that will obviously help catapult them a lot faster.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's great. I wanted to go transition to AI now, but I do love that
Yes.
topic.
Yes,
So AI, it's changing the world, as we say.
it is.
But let's target in on your world and really
Yes.
how is it affecting HR recruiting specifically? I think
Right.
from a candidate perspective as well as a company perspective.
So I'll start with a company perspective, but the candidate perspective is also important. From a company perspective, we view ourselves as being on the front lines as talent acquisition. We are sourcing, we are interviewing, we are scheduling, and we're shepherding the person through the interview process and then closing them on the offer as a neutral party. And then working with maybe their internal or maybe we are their HR onboard them.
Mhm.
So if we make a mistake and if it's a cybersecurity client, the impact of that mistake could be catastrophic. So we take that responsibility very seriously. We're used to people using AI to optimize their resumes. Every
Sure.
resume looks like a purple squirrel. Okay. You have to adjust on how you go about asking questions to get to really who they are. We got used to that. We were used to people using AI during interviews.
Yep.
We could tell when they were chat GPT questions. Okay. And we figured out how to make sure that we minimized that. The first time that I actually got on an interview for a remote position and realized that this human was actually probably not a human, that was frightening.
Yeah, that's scary to even
That
imagine.
was really scary to me. And so I realized that I wanted to understand the why behind the what. Why would someone do that? And so there are several reasons why someone would do that. One is they want the job, but they realize somebody else can get the job for them, right? So they can look like you, sound like you, but it's me, right? So that might be a way. And then there are the bad actors. It could be a North Korean trying to infiltrate a network. They want to
Mhm.
get their hands on the laptop so they can infiltrate the network. And if that
Yeah,
happened, that would be catastrophic.
scary.
So we have developed a playbook where we help our clients. AI has forced us to completely flip the script on our whole interview process and make sure that we're integrating checks and balances every step of the way. And you do not ever, even if it's a remote position, hand over that laptop until you meet that person or somebody meets that person and validates that that's the person that you interviewed all along the way. It's just, again, too expensive of a mistake
I cannot
to
believe this is
shortcut.
happening. I mean, this is actually happening today
It
in
is
all around
frightening.
the world.
And if you haven't seen it yet, I tell clients you will see it. It's coming
Right.
for you. So employers are integrating AI into their
Right.
process, which larger employers need to. You want to automate. You want to make sure that you're helping parse resumes, that you have filters because 100,000 applications a month is overwhelming. You want to make sure that you're using maybe an initial interview which to help cull, but humans still need to be involved because humans at the end of the day own the decisions.
Right.
Right. Now, on the candidate side, I think that they are having to get used to how AI is impacting their process. So I have talked to a lot of candidates where they will apply for a job and within seconds they're rejected. And so they know they've been filtered out by AI.
Sure.
There's no way a human looked at their resume in 0.5 seconds. So they're having to figure out, how do I get past the AI filter?
Mhm.
And then even if they do get past the AI filter, how do they interview with AI? Someone told me a story recently about they're an attorney and they interviewed for a high level job with AI and the question was posed and they had 30 seconds to record their answer. And even at that level, it was a challenge for them. So you need to be able to put yourself in situations so that you can practice for something like that because it's just the way of the future. So candidates are having to adjust to that. And then I think that AI they need to become more curious. You can't resist AI. You have to embrace it. It is humans plus AI that will be the way of the future. And so figuring out how you fit into that, how you can differentiate yourself, how you can be the valuable one. If you're a taskmaster in your job, you're not going to have a job, right? Because AI can
Right.
master tasks, right? But if you are a good manager that can integrate AI into your processes and you can bring out the best in humans, you will probably still have a job.
I think AI can help both sides pretty easily, but how do you maximize it from each
Correct.
side? Let's just pretend we're on each side. You're not really trained to interview, really. I mean, at
It's
school, there's
not a
not a
natural.
right? So how can a candidate prepare for that interview? My husband say all the time he interviewed for jobs he would never take just to practice. But a lot of people
Yes.
don't practice; they just kind of go into it. So, are you seeing a lot of winging it on the candidate side too, or is the hope and
Well,
prayer?
there is a hope and a prayer, but actually we're partnering with a company called Dream Pulse AI, and they have created a platform that basically helps just that situation. So candidates are able to do things like optimize their LinkedIn, their resume, but the real value is in being able to practice how to interview with AI and interview with humans and in that simulated environment instead of using those jobs that you would never take as a practice interview, which wastes time on both sides.
It really does.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So this platform is a brain. It's quite comprehensive, and everything you do within the platform feeds into your whole entire profile. But the value that I see is that people don't know where to start. They are afraid of, interviewing with AI or interviewing now because they don't know what they're being measured on. But if you want to become an elite athlete, then you need to practice in different scenarios. So being able to watch AI interviews one-on-one or watch panel AI and then actually doing it yourself is invaluable. So we've teamed up with Dream Pulse AI in doing that. And then what we do is we jump in from a human perspective and help with the coaching. We help with the salary negotiations.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I have a second interview. What should I be prepared for? Because AI can't read nuance. It can't read body language. And so we want to help people with that as well. Again, it's that human and AI combination of the intersection of that will make the difference, and helping prepare people for that, I think is really important. And they're just not there yet, but this platform will help them do.
This is very, very cool. And I know you've been doing this a long time. I know we both started when we were just, kids in
Uh,
single digits in
Right.
grade school. A few years that you've been this 30 plus years of this experience. I mean, how has the world changed? I remember I carried a little folder and I had my resumes in them and my cover letter went and I don't even know if I was able to email at that time, but how has this technology changed? Because this sounds very cool.
Yes.
And what have you experienced through tools, I guess, that both sides use to get to this?
When I first got into the industry, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was working in a five-star restaurant, and someone recruited me and said, "Do you want to be a recruiter?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Sure.
I had no idea what that meant. I knew I wanted to change people's lives. Right. And
Okay.
so it was during mainframe, COBOL CICS DB2. I remember our tech stack was a Rolodex, a file cabinet, and my bag phone. Right.
Sorry. For some of you out there, you don't know what a Rolodex is. Look it up.
Exactly. That paper flippy thing, right? And a fax machine. And we would get resumes over fax, or they
Yeah,
would mail them. You had a
that's
stamp,
right. That's
right? And
right.
they would mail them to us. And so it was a slower process. You had to build relationships. And so what has not changed in all of this technology at the root of it is our humans.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so as the technology has advanced, I've embraced every technology along the way. And so I've always worked in tech and helped tech people find jobs. And everyone in between. And so I remember when Monster called me and said, "Hey, we have this web-based platform." And I thought, this is a game changer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, right? And then LinkedIn called me and said, "Hey, do you want to be a beta user?" And I was like, and here we are, right? It was a game changer. I have the same feeling about Dream Pulse AI. And the reason for that is because it's on the cutting edge of being able to give candidates a way to find their way through this new world order, just as Monster did just as LinkedIn did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it will also help connect companies with people that are more sophisticated in the process. So you have to embrace technology. You can't be afraid of it. You have to stay curious. You have to learn every step of the way. And this platform will help them do that.
So this is a great tool for candidates to use because as this brain is capturing data from all of their
Yes.
activity and work, it's learning and then
Right.
it's able to target from the employer perspective, say, hey, these are some ideal candidates for you. So it's works
That's
on
right.
both
That's
sides, it
right.
sounds
That it
like.
works on both sides. So when you immediately enter, it'll say, "Who are you?" "I'm an HR executive." And then it'll say, "Hey, by the way, here are the salary
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
data."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's the salary market data. Here are jobs that are out there. Did you know about them? And then if you have a work project that you're working on, because it pulls in from multiple AI platforms, it can help you through that work project. And then it feeds that information into the brain, helps you update your LinkedIn because you'll forget about what
Of
you
course.
did. It feeds into your resume. It's that comprehensive brain as to who you are as a candidate. And then it will also help you with those job descriptions. I'm able to talk about the project work that I've done as well. It's the next level. Resumes to me are dead, right?
Agreed.
We have used them for 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something has to change. And so something has to change. And so a platform like this will help employers see something different, a more comprehensive human and how they've come to be. There's also an apprenticeship program that Dream Pulse has that helps them develop. So let's say you're a finance professional, but you want to get into AI. Who's going to hire you? But you can go on this platform and you can not only get your AI certification, it will build your resume of projects along the way. So it's an apprenticeship program. And then employers can delve into what you've done to get there and see that you're an expert and you pop out and then they're able to utilize that. So for the companies that are dealing with, which is a big challenge, they don't know how to train or upscale their workforce. This apprenticeship program is a great way for them to partner and find those people as well.
And I know this is probably not a good similarity, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. You said before it's a learning tool, it's a brain. And I think
Yes.
a lot of times we all take everything we do for granted. We talk to business owners all the time. And what differentiates you in the market? What's your unique selling proposition? And they start talking and they say the language. But when you really dig down into some of the things that they just take for granted every day, like that's unique. As the outside perspective looking in, we can pick out the pieces that are truly unique and can help differentiate. It sounds like something like this can also help identify people skills, an algorithm that can identify unique areas of expertise, skill sets, whatever you want to call it.
From a human and technology perspective, absolutely. Yes.
Very, very cool. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the future real quick because you're so
Yes.
excited. But I like
Yes.
what excites you the most? Maybe in the next year or so, because I bet you I'll have you back in 6 months, but I can have you back in 12 months. And we're having a totally different conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I first heard about AI, ironically, it was from my trainer at the gym. He's like, "Have you heard of Chat GPT?" And I was like, dismissive because it was from my trainer. I didn't hear about it in my tech community first, right?
Interesting.
Oh, it was very interesting. But then it came on my radar and I was very resistant because I thought that people were going to use it as a way to cheat. I told my daughter, do not use it to write your papers. And in college, I was thinking it would replace human intellect. But the more that I came to understand, I don't believe it will lead to our collective suicide. I believe that it will help find cures to cancer along the
Mhm.
way. And I believe that we as humans will benefit from it. But there's going to be a lot of discomfort as well.
Sure.
There will. And we need to understand how we fit in. Now, for some people, it will be easier for them to embrace and understand. And for others, that our brains are now a little slower than they used to be, it will take a little more time. I think that I'm very optimistic and excited about the intersection of what humans and AI can do in a responsible, ethical way, right? And so companies, people, We all need to work together for the betterment of the individuals, the companies, society, the countries, the world. And I do think that if we stay curious, continue to learn, and embrace the change, it will lead to incredible outcomes.
Well, I see you're very positive. And we're all positive. I mean, you could always talk negative
Yes.
about AI, but it's certainly in your world and everybody's world, it's here to stay. We have to embrace it.
I remember thinking, I've been spit out into a wormhole. And I know I'm not the only one that feels
Yeah.
that way. And so we have to wake up every day and we have to do something to not just learn AI, but become proficient. That's the
Yeah.
only way that we're going to be able to keep our edge and differentiate ourselves in a new way. But if we dig our
Absolutely.
heels in and shut our eyes, then you will fail as an individual and as a company. And so embrace it, enjoy it, love it, own it, get your arms around it and figure out how it will make you better. Don't use it as a crutch because humans always need to make the right decisions. You can't help you make bad decisions. And it does hallucinate. It does
Yes.
hallucinate. If it doesn't
Yes.
know the answer, it will make up the answer. So you have to, as a human, validate. I had someone the other day
Absolutely.
tell me that she didn't have to pay her 401k loan back
Oh, my
because Chat
Lord.
GPT told her she didn't have to. And I'm like, you didn't give it the right prompt. So we have to understand how to use it and become proficient. And that takes a lot of work. I also believe it's going to change the education system, right? Because I believe that soon knowledge is going to be accessible and free.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
you don't have to necessarily pay $100,000. Now, there will be some specialized things like I want my doctor to get a
Right.
specialized education, but maybe it will be skills versus your degree that will matter moving forward.
Well, Kathe, I could talk to you all day. Thank you so much for being
Absolutely.
here. It's been great just getting to know you, and you are a wealth of information. You're an expert in your field, but I just love the way you always relate back to human and the human impact. And that's
Yes.
such a part of every organization, just our world. So I'm really glad we were able to address the topic of AI, workforce, and hiring. I hope this was valuable to the audience. I know it was to me. What's the
Thank
best
you.
way for people to contact you?
Yes. So purplesquirrelhr.com. And then there's just book a meeting. So whether you're a candidate or whether you're a company looking for fractional HR and talent acquisition, we're here to help. Like I said, we've helped 14 companies go to positive exit. So we can help companies avoid those mistakes that they might make. So invaluable experience is what we bring to the table.
Yeah, you're saving people money. I mean, at the cost of a bad hire in just that world. So very
Right.
good. You'll probably see Kathe out at a chamber event. So I'm sure we will
Yeah.
see you soon. And thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Stay in touch with us for future episodes. Like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.